We have five. We have five in at the moment. I think George, you were expecting another five. Will we just begin? Okay.
All right.
Frederick.
Well, welcome everybody. Good morning. Thank you very much for being here. Welcome to this wonderful game session with Into Film. I'm from Into Film. I'm the program coordinator in Scotland. I work up here in Edinburgh. And just to introduce us a little bit briefly, Into Film is the UK's leading charity for film and education and the community. We provide screen industry careers information and advice, support young filmmakers, and also bring the power of the moving image and storytelling into classroom teaching. And in fact, the core of our program is free for UK state schools, colleges, and other youth settings. Today, we're going to be talking about games in the context of teaching. And to do that, I'm going to hand over to my wonderful co-host, Sandy.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Just to let you know, this session is actually being recorded by Education Scotland. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat, and Frederick will, he does it very well. He'll interrupt me at various points and ask me the relevant questions. If you have any questions, I'll try and answer them. I'm not an expert in every single game in the world, so bear with me. I'm sure you've got a lot of knowledge already in your class. So what are we doing today? Today we're going to be looking at games, and we're going to be starting you thinking about creating your own game. Now, I'm hoping that everybody has a piece of paper. Hopefully it's a worksheet, and pens and pencils, so you've got stuff to do that. If you don't have anything like that, can you get them together right now? We did send out worksheets, but if you don't have a worksheet, if you're just working with a blank piece of paper, could the teacher please put it in the chat that you're just working with a blank piece of paper, and then I'll sort of add in instructions to go along with that as well. Okay, so first thing to say is you don't have to be able to play video games. If you've never played a video game before, that's okay. You can still come up with fantastic ideas. Just to give you a little example, many years ago, there was a little Japanese boy who loved collecting insects. Now, he didn't collect them and put a pin in them. He would go out in his holidays outside Tokyo, and he would collect insects, and he would draw them in his notebook. Many years later, he really got into games. He'd never played games before, video games. He got into playing games, and he thought, I wonder if I can use my interest in collecting insects. I wonder if I can use that for a game. And he did. And it's a very, very successful game. It's about 200 million people have played this game. Can anybody guess what that game is? It's a collecting game. It's based on insects. Main character is called Ash. Yes, well done. Well done. Yes, Pokemon. So he had no idea of a game to begin with. He learned about games, but the Pokemon comes from his passion in playing games. So you guys don't need to have any experience. You might play board games. You might play games with your friends. We just need your creativity and your passion. So I'm going to start. I'm going to share my desktop, and we're going to work our way through this PowerPoint, which all the teachers are going to have access to as well. Okay, so this resource that we're using is called Story Builder Games Lite, and it was created by the wonderful Into Film team in Northern Ireland. So well done to them, because it's great fun. It's a fantastic resource. So let's move on very quickly. Today, you're going to choose a genre for your game. You're going to create a character for your game, and you're going to develop a world for your game. First thing I want you to do is I'm going to give you 1 minute to just talk to your shoulder partner or people at your table about the games that you play. Do you play board games, handheld games? What do you play them on, and who do you play them with? 1 minute starting now. Okay, if you can come back. Thank you for doing that. Hopefully you know what the people around you, the kind of games that they play and how they play them. We're going to move on very quickly because we don't have much time in this session. So, first thing we're looking at is genre. I'm not sure if you know what genre means. Genre is a French word. It means type or sort. And it's the way that the creative arts are catalogued or put into types. So, for example, with music, you might have classical music, hip hop, rock and roll, folk, that kind of thing. With film and books and graphic novels, you may have horror, you may have comedy, thrillers, mysteries, all kinds of stuff. And they all share the same kind of characteristics. So horror might have monsters, it might be dark, you might have big, dark, scary buildings, it might have ghosts, that kind of stuff. And it's supposed to scare you. So it's the way we catalogue things.
Sorry, 1 second,
games,
Sandy.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sandy. I think you might have to share the PowerPoint again.
Oh. Okay, hang on a moment. I lost you altogether. Are you still there? Yep.
Yep.
Okay, can you see?
Yeah, that's it. Fantastic.
Okay. Apologies if you couldn't see it before. So going back to genre, so we're cataloguing things. So like books and films will have a genre. In games have two genres. They have the game genre and they have the story genre. So in this example, Disney Speedstorm, it's a racing game, but it's also an adventure story. So when you're creating your game, you're going to be looking at what kind of game genre you want and what kind of story genre that you want. And you've got different choices. So you have things like puzzles. You have things like sandbox, racing, sports, platformer, simulation shooter, and role-playing games. Puzzles are kind of well, they're puzzles. They're things that you've got to sort out, work out. It might be something simple like a puzzle like Candy Crush, or maybe something a little bit more intricate, bit more difficult. Sandbox is where you create a game, a whole world really. you can be really creative. So something like Minecraft would be a sandbox game. Racing games are things like Mario Kart Deluxe or Gran Turismo or Sonic Racing, that kind of stuff. Sports games would be Wii games or football games and stuff like that, that probably a lot of you play. Platformer games are things like where the character moves across from left to right. So it's a two-dimensional game that they play across a platform. And things like Super Mario or Sonic the Hedgehog, things like that would be a platformer game. Then you've got simulation, sim games. So Hogwarts Legacy or Power Wash would be a simulation game. Shooter games are where weapons are used to well, shoot or kill or maim or damage your opponent. Off the top of my head, I was told one. Frederick, what was the name of the one we were talking about earlier? Can you remember?
One that I know about is that in Luigi's Mansion 3, Luigi uses a vacuum called a poltergust to suck up ghosts. So that's one where you kind of, point something at targets and make them go away.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. Little brain freeze there. And then you've got role-playing games, so Dragon's Quest or Kingdom Hearts and stuff like that, where your character takes on and engages with a story. So they're the game genres. And then we've got different story genres. So what I'd quite like you to do for in your table groups or as a class, I'd like you to have a look at these different story genres and put the symbols there and just have a quick work out what you think the different story genres are. So I'll just give you a couple of minutes for that and then we'll go over that. So 2 minutes to have a look at the story genres.
In the meanwhile, also just to say, welcome to everybody who's already posted where they're from in chat. Welcome to Primary 6 in Dundee, to P5 to 7 in Kinloch Rannoch Primary in Perth, and also to St. Mary's Primary and Guildford Primary. If you want to just post in the chat, letting us know where you're from, letting us know how you're doing, what you're doing, we'd be very appreciative. Thank you very much.
Okay. So let's see how you got on. So we have fairy tales. So fairy tales are a lot of fairy tales are ancient stories. They're quite short. They're quite simple, and they've got a good moral. So for example, Little Red Riding Hood, don't talk to strangers would be a very simple, story. Then you've got comedy. which obviously is to make you laugh. Mysteries are like whodunit, so they might be a murder mystery or a theft or something like that, and you've got to solve the problem, solve the mystery. Adventures are full of action and quests. Horror, I think you probably all know what horrors are. They're all different kinds, but you might have ghosts, you might have monsters, and quite often they take place in quite scary places, and it's always quite dark. Fantasy is a bit like fairy tales, but they're longer and they're more complicated. They're bigger stories and they're more characters in them. Romance is about love, finding love, hearts being broken, finding new love again. I think you all know what romance is. Science fiction, quite often they're set in the future or the near future, and they involve lots of technology, computers, aliens, other worlds. And then drama is realistic and real life sort of situations would be drama. So they're different kinds of genres that you need to think about. So this is the first part of you starting to think about your game. I want you to each come up with a game genre that you want for your game and a story genre that you want for your game, and try and make it things that you are genuinely interested in. You know, don't pick one that you think, oh, that might be interesting. Try and pick something that you know about or you've got an idea about. You don't have to, but it's probably a good idea with both the game genre and the story genre. So I'll give you a couple of minutes well, 1 minute just to come up with your game genre and your story genre. Okie dokie. So the other thing I should really say to you is today's session, we're going through these things quite quickly. You may want to change your mind on stuff. You may start working on some ideas and then maybe a bit later think, I'm not sure I want to go with that one. I'll try something else. That is fine. That is what creating stuff is all about. Trying stuff out, thinking about it and tweaking it and changing things. So don't worry if you sort of a bit later on think, I'm not sure I want that game genre, or I'm not sure I want that story genre. You can always change it. So let's move on to characters. So there are all kinds of different character types. There's obviously humans, there might be animals, there'll be creatures, aliens, birds, whatever. Objects, cars are quite a common one actually, but here they've got toilet roll. If you can come up with a character that's an object like a toilet roll, then fantastic. Mobile phones, or anything else that you can think of. This is the great thing about, you know, I've got a game which is about flowers and the wind and stuff like that. So there's all kinds of things you can have. Oh, sorry about that. So you generally tend to have two types of characters in main types of characters, which will be non-playing characters. They're in the background. They'll do stuff, but you don't have any control over them. And then you've got player characters, and they're ones that you actually have control of, and you can decide what they do. So you're going to be creating a character that is a player character, somebody that you can interact with. So it's going to have to be somebody that actually you want to represent you in your game. So we're going to start with this, with how you start to create characters. And the character we're looking at the moment is Spider-Man. So almost everybody knows who Spider-Man is, and where they've come from and why they do what they do. But let's just go through that because it's quite important. So normally, if you want to create a good character, you'll give them a backstory. A backstory is what has happened to them in the past. We have all come today with our own backstories. Each one of you has got your own unique backstory that makes you you, how you've got here, where you were born, what's happened to you, where you are now. Okay, that's the backstory. In Spider-Man's example, he was bitten by a radioactive spider, and that gave him sort of superhuman powers. So he's able to climb up walls, and he has spider talents. And because of these talents, he used them to begin with. He used them quite selfishly. He used them to make money, and he became quite self-centered about it. But because of that, because he didn't put his powers to good use, somebody close to him, his uncle, passed away. He didn't stop somebody who was a bad person, who he didn't stop them, and this person went on to cause this terrible event to happen. So that's the backstory. Because of these two things that happened, him getting bitten and somebody dying as a result of him being just selfish, he was motivated to do something else. So his motivation, because of his uncle's death, his motivation, he realized that with great power comes great responsibility. And he decided that what he was going to do was he was going to use his powers for good. He was going to use them to battle against injustices, and he was going to protect people, and he was going to fight crime. That's what made him do what he did, become Spider-Man. But in his life, he had challenges. Obviously, he had the challenges of the crooks, the criminals, that, like the Green Goblin, that he had to fight against. But he had other challenges as well. He still had to go to school. He still had to do his studies, and he had to find time to do all that in amongst, fighting crime. And he had to keep everything quiet. It had to be secret. Nobody else could know about it. So these were all his challenges. What I want you now to do is to create your characters. I want you to think about what type they are, what their backstory is, what their motivation is, why they do what they do, and what their challenges are. What is holding them back? What is stopping them? What do they have to do to be them? Okay, so I am going to give you 6 minutes. 6 minutes to come up with, to answer these things. Now, if you've got the worksheet, they should be on the worksheet. You should be able to just fill those in. If you don't have a worksheet, And then just write these down in order: the character type, the backstory, motivation, and challenges. Okay, off you go. Okay, thanks, folks. Hopefully you've got that started. Don't worry, again, if you need to have a bit more time to work on all of those things, all of these things, all kinds of things like this take a while. So this is just to get you started, just to get you thinking about things. I'm sure more ideas will come to you once this session is over. So, keeping with this same character, and now I want you to draw your game character. So on the back of your page, there'll be a space for that. If you've got a printed worksheet, if you're just working with a blank A4, then if you could just fit this into about 2/3 of the page, that would be great. So draw your character and then put some notes beside it. So put some notes about what their personality is like. So are they funny? Are they grumpy? Are they angry? Are they loyal? Are they clever? Super clever, super brainy? What kind of equipment have they got? Have they got armor or a spell book or a wand or what? I'm sure you guys will have a lot of ideas about that. And then what moves or skills do they have? Can they fly? Can they spin? Can they do double jumps? Have they got power punches? What kind of skills have they got? Okay, so I will give you 6 minutes to draw your game character, please.
Just to say also regarding this exercise, any of the previous ones, if you have any results that you or a student would like to share with us, you're very welcome to just post those in the chat, and we'll be happy to read them out. And we'll just be very excited to see what sorts of ideas you're coming up with here.
Thank you. Okay, thank you guys. I'm not sure how you got on because I can't see. Normally we would do this session in a class and we'd be able to see how you guys are getting on. Don't worry if you're not great artists. I'm not a great artist. Writers, if you're the writer of this game, and that's what we're talking about at the moment, you will come up with the ideas. You will write the characters. You can describe what they're like. You can describe all these kind of things. And then when games are being made, then there will be concept artists and animators who take the ideas from the writer and they help to create the visual look of the characters and what they're like. So yeah, there's lots of jobs in the games industry. So whatever your talent is, there's probably a job for you if that's what you want to do. So moving on, we're going to move into the world that these characters are in. So the world is important because this is obviously where the characters live, and it will affect what they do, and it'll affect what they look like, what the clothes they wear. So we live in Scotland, and in the summer we might be wearing shorts and t-shirts, and then when it gets into winter, we'll be wearing big, thick jackets and boots and things like that. So so the world is important for our characters as well. So this is you moving out from your character into the bigger idea, the setting. So there are all kinds of worlds. You could have a world that's like Earth, so it's very realistic. You could have a world of cakes and sweets. I have no idea what that would be like. A world of fire and lava, a robot world. The worlds can be anything that you can think of. So the first thing I want you to do is, what would your games world be? So on your worksheet, there should be a bit, my game takes place in a world that is it like Earth? Is it, rocky? Is it made of metal? That's up to you. Give you 30 seconds to fill that in. Okay, maybe not 30 seconds because we're running out of time. Next thing I need you to do is choose your setting for your world. So what kind of setting? So is it in a school? Is it in a farm? Is it in a shopping centre, a castle, a theatre, a cafe, on a battlefield? Where's your setting? Choose your setting. The next thing is to choose the mood in the sky. Is it going to be nice and bright and sunny? Is it going to be night and nice clear skies? Or is it going to be dark and thundery? Or is it going to be, what's it going to be like? What's the mood in the sky? This affects how your character is as well, the colors in your world. And then there are hazards and the rewards in the world. So this is snakes and ladders. One is a hazard, one is a reward. Frederick, which is the hazard and which is the reward, do you think?
While that snake does look very friendly, and while I would be scared to fall down that ladder, I think in the game Snakes and Ladders, the snake is the hazard and the ladder is the reward.
You're right. It is a very friendly looking snake, but yes, that's the hazard, and you would go down and the ladder takes you up. So that's the hazard and reward in Snakes and Ladders. This is slightly different. This is an apple. This is from Minecraft, and there are these strange cone-like things from Sonic the Hedgehog. Which do you think is the hazard, and which do you think is the reward? Frederick.
I'd be worried about that apple being poisoned, but I think given that those spikes look really uncomfortable, I suspect the apple is meant to be the reward and the spikes the hazard.
Okay, let's have a look and see. Yeah, the apple is the reward, and the hazard is the spikes. Well done. Okay, so in your game, if you could think about what the rewards are and what the hazards are in your game, and sometimes they've got sounds that go with them as well. So think about the sounds as well. What kind of rewards and hazards have you got in your game? Rewards are good. They can boost your powers or give you extra energy, and hazards obviously might send you backwards. So hazards and rewards are a fun part of the game, even though they might not feel like fun at the time, especially if they're hazards. Okay. So we've kind of run out of time, guys, but today you've hopefully chosen a genre for your game. Well, two genres, the game genre and the story genre. You've created characters for your game and very briefly started to think about the world that your game's going to be taking place in. So that's the end of the session. It is quite a short session because we have to fit in with your timings as well. Hopefully it's been useful to you. If you could, if just sort of let us know what you think about today's session, that would be good.